Achieving financial success takes dedication, discipline, and most importantly, a plan. For over 30 years, Don Reynolds has helped savers define their needs, formulate their plans, and achieve their goals. From accumulation to preservation and protection, and through the income distribution phase in retirement, implementing the right strategies makes all the difference. Your retirement is our business. Welcome to Strategic Asset Preservation.
Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another episode of Reynolds Wrap. I'm Don Reynolds, and of course, Corey Still here. Yeah. Hope everybody's doing well. So today we're going to kind of follow up on, we're going to call this part 2 of caring for loved ones. As we talked about in the first episode, this is very near and dear, I believe, to all of our hearts. Families, first, most important in all of our lives.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that you understand all of the facets about this.
Yeah. So often it's not about money, as we always say. It's about caring about that loved one more than the money. And
Exactly.
that is very tough situation. And especially in some of these topics here, if it's not done ahead of time, as we talked about in part 1, make sure you listen to that. It can be too late on many documents that would have been nice to have and needed before an incident happened. So
Absolutely. So our first one is going to be about spouses, and what we're going to do is elaborate a little about that. It's about a budget. Surprised how many people, when they first come in for what we call our discovery meeting, and they don't have a budget. And we get surprised at that, because I've always said, how can I retire if I don't know how much money I'm going to need to do what I want to do in retirement and what all my expenses are going to be? So we think that's imperative. And I think it's also imperative that both spouses are on the same page with that budget.
correct.
I can tell you there's been times where we've had people, they come in and they give us their budget, and then we use our analysis in our software program, and it shows that there's $2,000-3,000 every month surplus money, and they look at each other with this where is that going?
Yeah.
So again, it's just making sure everybody's on the same page with that one.
Yeah.
So it's important.
And with the spouses too, it's important that both people are involved. I know many households may do it different. There might be an equal involvement in the financial decisions and or the retirement or whatnot, financial purchases, things like that. Often, however, it might be one spouse does more of that area, the other spouse does very little. So it's important to make sure that both spouses know and partake in the plan when it comes to retirement. And I know we've provided a lot of peace for our clients. We've had many examples where they enjoy working with us because, again, the spouse had no interest in any financial matters until they met with us. And we can break it down and we can make sure that it's a very comfortable scenario. But the worst thing to do is not talk about it with your spouse. And make sure your spouse does know about the finances. If you are in a situation where one spouse compared to the other does more of the financial affairs in the household, at least for that other spouse to know about what's going on, know where the advisor is to get a hold of them should something happen, and we can provide some good peace there for our clients and people listening in if you'd like us to help in that area. Social Security is another topic when it comes to married couples. It's very important to make a decision there. Obviously, you've got 2 benefits there. We want to look at spousal options. If one of the benefits is not as much as half as the primary or a benefit that's the higher benefit in the household, you might be entitled to a spousal benefit while you're both alive. Of course, we deal with our clients on the passing of a spouse and a survivorship benefit. You want to make sure you understand that the lowest benefit will leave the household. You are not allowed to keep both. Only one will stay, and it's the higher benefit. So let's say, for example, in my situation, my wife Laura has a higher benefit than me. If she passes away before me, I survive Laura, I will move to her higher benefit, but I will lose my benefit. You cannot keep both in the household. So you got to plan for that loss of income, and you got to make sure you understand that one benefit's nice to maybe drive as high as you can, maybe delay that to 70 with those cost of living adjustments and the credits that you would get, the guaranteed growth from your full retirement age to that age 70.
Right, and I think that's one thing that maybe makes us a little different than a lot of advisory firms is we look at long term and what happens when a spouse dies.
Correct.
Because and this kind of leads into the next piece of this. It's pensions.
Yeah.
Because again, those are kind of the exception now, not the rule anymore. We know that.
Unfortunately.
But what happens with a lot of pensions, and again, it depends on how you structure it to start, but there's certain companies that, you don't have a choice. You get 50% is going to be left over for the spouse.
Yeah.
And so when it comes back to the Social Security, that walking out the door, you might lose half of the pension too. So I think it's imperative that all of us as advisors are helping people in retirement, make sure we're looking at that. How are we going to, if you will, fix that when that day comes? Because it will come. We just don't know when.
Correct.
And so how is that going to affect that family? We got to make sure we got a plan in place to do that.
Yes.
Or we're going to leave that, that single spouse now, kind of in a really bad situation.
Yeah.
And, nobody wants to be left in that situation. That's just not a good place to be.
Correct.
You lost your loved one, your life partner, and then you got to deal with all this. And the other thing that jumps in on this is of course, is taxes then.
Yeah.
And so, which kind of leads us into the next piece of this, life insurance. Now, we talked about this briefly on our previous episode of this, but life insurance, as Corey mentioned, can be used for a lot of different ways. Legacy planning. Today, I don't think there's really a more cost-effective way to create legacy planning than using life insurance because of mortality tables and we're all living so much longer. So I say the bang for the buck, so to speak. But that's something that you should be really looking at, and how can you utilize it? Like we talked about, you can be using it. If it's been funded properly and for a long time, you could use it for paying college expenses for children, or we have clients who are doing this and using it to pay college expenses for their grandchildren. So again, there's a place for that, and our job is just to look at your situation and help guide you through that.
Correct. And caring for loved ones, you've got to talk about long-term care. Spend just a little bit of minutes here as we near the end of it here. But, life insurance can actually lead into long-term care. There are often hybrid policies available today now that will help in a long-term care situation where you can use a portion or use the death benefit, depending upon, again, different policies and how it's structured as a long-term care benefit. Don and I are both partnership certified. We do market and can use long-term care products that would be partnership certified as well. I guess the big elephant in the room there is just make sure you have a plan in place.
Right.
Again, as we're talking about caring for loved ones, most of us, again, just drag our feet, or life is busy, or maybe we don't have the proper education, the knowledge, someone with expertise to help us make that decision to put something in place. And what we do with our clients is we make sure that we have a plan in place. So make sure to give us a call, 651-773-3859, if you'd like us to help you with any of these topics and around that whole, elephant in the room of long-term care. And what does it look like in your situation? What would be plans that would be options, or are you a self-funded situation? Again, just make sure you have a plan in place before it's too late, folks. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. And the only thing I'd add to that is when we talk about caring for loved ones, if one of the spouses ends up in a long-term care facility, what does that do to the spouse at home? What does their finances look like, and how are they going to maintain their lifestyle for the rest of their life? So, we look at all of those things. And again, I always come back to education as consumers, and we're consumers too. We may do what we do for a living, but we're still consumers and have to deal with these things on our own. And so we think it's imperative to make sure that people are looking at what we call cause and effect of this, and how will it affect them. And that's where we come in, and we're going to design a plan that will ensure that the other spouse's life won't, so to speak, implode, and they'll be able to maintain their lifestyle and continue on with life in a, what we say are golden years in retirement. And we want to keep them that way for folks. So I think, what we say is, if there's anything, these topics that really jump out at you and you're not sure, that's what we're here for, folks. It doesn't cost you anything to call us. It doesn't cost you anything to sit down and meet with us. We're here to help. That's our job. So by all means, give us a call at 651-773-3859. Again, that's 651-773-3859. With that, I want to thank you for your time and hope you're enjoying our show.
Thank you so much, folks. Have a great afternoon.
We'll talk to you next time. Bye now.
Listen to more with Don Reynolds and Corey Still on the Strategic Asset Preservation Podcast by visiting 800preserve.com.
The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.